Hi, I'm Dr. Virginia LeBlanc, also known as Doc V, the Pivot Maestro. Welcome to the Define Your Path podcast for those seeking to define their own path into purposed entrepreneurship. This is a show about transforming perspectives as well as inspiring and motivating you to think without a box by exposing you to global thought leaders, change agents, and legacy builders as my guest today from across industries on how exactly they successfully define their path in life and business to profitability and sustainable wins. At Defining Paths, folks, we operate in true transparency and love to help you navigate the waters of your life and put you back in business. And the Define Your Path podcast is no different. It all starts with the heart and in the mind, folks. Will you be the captain or the crew? Today's spotlight is with Tanya Brockett, and I am so excited to introduce her to you all and to have you hear her story and the tremendous work that she's doing around the world. Tanya is the author of several books, including the New Writer Workbook, and inspires authors, experts, and entrepreneurs to ditch fear, confusion, and overwhelm so they can write a bestseller-worthy book that boosts brands, increases impact, and leaves a legacy. She's a podcast host, a ghostwriter, editor, and book coach for awesome clients around the world. She has taught book publishing and entrepreneurship at the University of Virginia and has been a sponsor and speaker at several writers' conferences. Some of Tanya's past clients include global companies, major universities, and best-selling authors like Dr. Joe Vitale of The Secret and Susie Carter of Power Your Profits. Folks, this woman is a powerhouse, and I absolutely love her. Tanya, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Doc V. It's such a pleasure to be here today. Your show is just fantabulous, and I am so honored to be a part of it.
Well, I tell you what, I appreciate that those flowers, and it's because of guests like you. So I just want to jump right on in because I want them to get as much from you as they can to hear how your story shaped and how you faced your fear to love the skin you're in and pivot into pursuing your passion and soul purpose. So in our podcast, we ask two simple questions, right? And then you and I will just riff between those two questions. So the first one is, how have you defined your path? And the second is, how do you help others define theirs? So sis, the spotlight is yours. How have you defined your path?
Wow. It hasn't been a very singular, simple journey. As most people discover as they're traveling through their lives, different avenues appear as they're walking along their path. And sometimes when they look back, they don't even realize, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I was there, or I got through this, or now I am here. When I look back right now at my path, I see so many things that were designed to set me up for where I am at this moment. And it is so interesting because when you're going through it, you don't always see that, right? No. You think, oh, this can't be happening, or wow, this is awesome. I don't want it to stop happening. And then something else begins. So oftentimes our journeys are just not a straight line. They are very circuitous. They may squiggle all over the place, but where you are is where you are meant to be at this time. And where you have been allows you to serve where you are at this moment.
So good.
Yeah, when I look back at some of the experiences I went through in my life, both personal and business, I realized that there is so much that I have had to navigate that has allowed me to help others in their journeys. One of the things that I say a lot, both in my books and in my podcast, is don't hog your journey. And I see that often because there are many times when we may even be going through a difficult time. For example, for the past 6 years, I took care of and supported my mother-in-law through her dementia journey. Incredibly challenging, more than I ever imagined. Okay. And I never thought anything else would come of that other than serving her through that time.
Mm-hmm.
Now I've been feeling in my heart that I need to write a book about dementia caregiving so that I can serve others and help them through that journey before they get to all those things that they're like, oh my gosh, what have I gotten myself into? And I am also, as a result of that journey, a facilitator for a caregiver support group for others who are caregiving for dementia patients. Nothing I saw myself doing in my past life, right? This is just a volunteer journey that came as a result of what I was going through, and it allowed me to serve others in a similar way. Had nothing to do with my business, has nothing to do, with my intended path. But sometimes what we learn, as I said, sometimes when we're going through our journeys, we learn something that allows us to help and serve others, even if we didn't anticipate doing that, right? And so my next book will be something that I didn't expect, because I was working on a book for the top 10 tips for, entrepreneurs. And now I'm shifting over to, 10 ways of hope for dementia caregivers. So it'll be an interesting journey there in itself.
I love it. I love it. Mm-hmm.
When I started, though, my professional work, I worked at a company that's an international professional services firm. And every year we have to create instructional materials for training all of our audit professionals worldwide. So everything had to be absolutely perfect, right? You didn't want to have to see an error for the next year, because it was going to last the whole year, right? You didn't want to see a blooper for a whole year. So you were really meticulous about the material that you were creating so that it would be the best that it could be. Never dreamed at that time that would end up leading to my becoming an editor for authors to make sure that their books were the best that they could be, so that they could live on that would be their legacy, and that they could feel proud about that and actually have a quality bestseller worthy book. At the time, though, I was in my 20s. I was having a great time with this firm. We got to travel and teach people, and it was just absolutely a joy. Never realized that I would also become a speaker. Never realized that I would also become a podcast host. All these things are part of my journey that I hadn't even recognized. So even if we have a clear intention about where it is that we want to go, sometimes, as I said, the journey will shift, and it's designed just for you. Sometimes we think, this can't be happening to me, or, why me, or this isn't what I was wanting. But sometimes when we get through it to the other side, we realize, wow, that happened for me, not to me. It happened to help me develop and grow and become the person I am, so that I can do and serve and be the person that I am now. So I'm grateful for all the journeys I've had to go through, good, bad, and different. It's helped me to become the person that I am. And when I think about my 3 daughters, I have 3 daughters now. They are, 2 of them are still in college. 1 of them just got out during the pandemic. And to hear them say, Mom, I was talking to a friend of mine who really needed some help. So what I did was I pulled out my inner mom, and I talked to them about gratitude and this and that. And I was like, wow, you don't realize sometimes the impact that you make on people while you're going through it. But once you, again, reflect and look back on your journey, you recognize that you really have added value to someone's life. And that enriches yours here in this moment and in your next.
Tanya, I absolutely love that girl. There's so much in what you just said that we could pull out. And if you don't mind, before we pivot to the next question, I want to ask you a little bit about this, because you brought out the fact that our lives aren't linear, right? They, they go in all kinds of directions, but society sets us up on this path in which in our minds, it does seem and feel and appear linear, and we're following this path and we're trying to stay on this straight line and not fall off and not allow life to, happen to us. I love what you said about allowing life to happen for us, and that's a life experience lesson. Like, did you find yourself like kicking against, because I've also had the experience of being a caregiver for my father, rest in peace, who had dementia. My mother was a caregiver for my stepfather who had Alzheimer's. May he rest in peace. So when you find life kind of going on these curvy paths and, and you finally realize that it's happening for you, like, how did you, what were the feelings you were having as you started entering into these journeys, and your path was continuously being defined by them?
Well, I have to say, there are some of them where I would go in kicking and screaming.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, this isn't what I wanted. But quite frankly, because I believe that there is a greater power than myself, I recognize that I have the power to make miracles happen. I have the power to make powerful change. I have the power to choose whether I want to be defeated by something or not. Yeah. So there's sometimes, through my journey, I have to admit, then I would sit down and have my pity party, right? But then you have to recognize, okay, how is having a pity party helping me right now? Right. All right. I went through the tantrum. I released the emotion. Okay, now it's time to stand up. And as Susie Carter might say, put my big girl panties on.
Right.
Forward, right? To recognize that, okay, I did that. What did I learn from that? What can I use from that in my future? How can I make my future better, brighter? How can I make a positive impact on somebody because of that? And so when you're going through these times, you have to recognize that this is just a moment. This too shall pass.
Yes.
And every new chapter can create something entirely different than the last chapter that closed.
That's beautiful. Yeah, just being open to it, I guess that's the thing. And I think oftentimes we're not so open because we're comfortable, just being in our comfort zone, right? And that whole uncomfortable feeling is none too nice. And when we kind of get off of the path that we've planned in life, because I know about plans being thwarted left, right, and center. But that's a part of the journey and finding your soul purpose in life. So I want to pivot. Let's talk about that. You've helped so many people around the world become authors. You've given them that authority positioning. So talk a little bit about that.
Wow. In the beginning, it was my becoming an author myself that led to helping others to do the same. Now, mind you, early in my journey, as I said, I was doing the editing work in an international firm. So I was used to actually working with manuscripts and materials and publishing and graphics and all that kind of good stuff. So I had all this wonderful experience behind me. But when I met a self-publishing coach years and years ago, she was like, "You are doing so much for me. You need to do this as a business for others." Never occurred to me to create a business being an editor and a coach for authors. It never occurred to me at that time. I was just helping people. Let me take care. Let me fix that. Let me help you with that, and help them out. But then I realized, wow, there really is value in this. I started then just as an editor for authors. So at the time, my focus was just making sure the manuscript was clean enough to be bestseller worthy. I went through some tribulations in that too. I learned early on as an editor. So any editors out there, y'all need to listen. Don't take every client that comes to you, because I had taken someone on referral. So-and-so needs help. Can you please help them out? Sure. I could probably, given, some basic parameters, I could probably help for about this much. I did not realize that manuscript was going to need every other word rewritten. It was just horrendous. And the content of it just gave me nightmares. So I learned my lesson that not every client is your client. And that's something to keep in mind when it comes to going down the path and defining purposes. So what I do now, though, in addition to the editorial work, is I do the ghostwriting to help them to get the book written in the first place, if in fact they don't have the capacity or the capability to make that happen themselves. I also do guide them, shepherd them through the publishing process. I'm not a publisher. I don't care where you publish your book. It can be through Simon & Schuster, like Susan Carter, or it could be through an independent company of your own. Doesn't matter to me. You're going to look bestseller worthy no matter what if you come through my path. So my intention is to make it the best experience for you as possible as an author, so you have every chance of success. And I help you to identify what your path is as an author, so that you know the options available to you. You know what you need to get done to have a bestseller worthy book. You know what you can do to help yourself become a best-selling author. You know what you can do to generate revenue with that and create multiple income streams. Because I got an MBA before I started working with authors. So I've got the business side and the writing and editorial and publishing side. And it's just a great combination so many times, because now I work primarily with businesses, authors, entrepreneurs, experts, speakers, consultants, coaches. So it's a great fit having that combination.
Well, let's just talk about that in general, about how all of your life experiences, like you didn't see this coming, right? But as you went through life and you learned these hard skills, these soft skills, you got your degrees or what have you, and then you started putting the pieces of the puzzle together. You were working in an industry that was not your sole purpose, but it was a part of your journey to bring you to your business, to being, an entrepreneur and helping others, empowering them, using all of the skill sets that you have. I mean, that is so invaluable. And so many people have difficulty finding their way to seeing without that box, putting all the pieces together. So talk about that a little bit. I mean, did you just wake up? Was it just an aha dream or, moment, or what?
Actually, no. One thing that was so interesting is after I got, actually, I was working and serving as a business consultant while I got my MBA, while I was nursing children, while I was raising toddlers, all of that. But I operated a small business development center for a region, and in 2 different states, actually. So I was helping people to launch, grow, and harvest their businesses already. That entrepreneurship was already then in me. So then when I left there, I created my own firm and was serving as a financial advisor, or I won't say, it's not financial advice from the perspective of, investments and this and that and the other. It was corporate financial support for small businesses. So that's where my first book came out of. It was The Loan Solution. And this book is what garnered me pretty much a nomination from the U.S. Small Business Administration as the Financial Services Advocate of the Year.
Amazing.
Because I helped so many people, and I mean like over 200 in that 1 year, to get loans that were guaranteed through the Small Business Administration.
Wow.
Way too many. And that's why I wrote the book, as a matter of fact, because I wanted everybody, I said, get to step 5, and then you can make an appointment with me. Before then, you don't have enough, background. So once you get to step 5, then you can come and see me, and then we can talk about getting your loan. And so that book helped me to serve my clients. So I became an author so that I could serve my client, not because I intended to become an author. And then, so that led me on the road to helping others and helping more. So having the business side of it, all that experience allowed me to show other authors how writing a book and selling a book is actually a business decision. It's not just, I think I want to write a book. And it has no financial impact. I'm just going to write a book. Hopefully it does have a financial impact, right? You want to get a return on your investment of time, energy, money. And what I suggest is that people really have a return on objective. The goal is not just, can I get my money back if I pay this ghostwriter 5 figures to write my book? That's not the question. The question is, how can I leverage this book to add greater value to my bottom line in my business and in the impact I make in the world? It's that a return on objective that you really want to acquire. And that's what I'm able to help my clients to do because of all the experiences and the circuitous journey that I took to get where I am. Having the business background with the writing and the editing skills really made a big difference.
I love that, Tanya. Let me ask you this, because something just, I just had a light bulb go off in my head as you were just saying, sharing that piece about, not just simply writing a book to write a book, because, there are people who just want to be authors, right? But I think people don't connect the dots and understand an author is an entrepreneur. And when you write what you write, there are going to be people who are interested, right? They'll be interested in your story or, whatever genre you're writing. There will be people who reach out to you, who you, if you're operating in your sole purpose, you have that calling to kind of be that light for them. And that light comes in the form of a business, right? Of some sort. So I love how you talk about not just thinking about a book, because, when you write a book, I remember when I wrote my first book, everyone was like, oh, how many copies do you sell? How much money did you make from the book? I'm like, it's not about that. Yes, it's sold. I made money from it, but that was not the objective. The objective was to serve a greater purpose, a greater calling. Honestly, to help others heal, but it healed me more than than I ever imagined or that I was even processing. So can you talk a little bit more just about that, for people who are not business minded, who say, oh, I just want to be author, and to each his own. But I think it's that box that we place ourselves in, or society puts us in, saying that, oh, this is, that's not possible, or the two cannot be married.
No, they absolutely can be married. One of the things that allows me to be as good a coach for authors as I am is that marrying of the business and the publishing side. So I understand the publishing journey, everything that you have to go through, and how important every aspect is. That editorial process, do not skip, right? I always say that you don't have to edit every book that you write, only the ones you want to sell. Okay? So don't put out a book that you don't want to have edited, because it needs to be. But aside from that, one of the reasons that I can make a greater impact as a coach is I can illuminate that path. As you talk about that path being lit, so that you can see where you're going in that journey. And I can show you how I've created budgets for some of my authors so that they can have, see the flow of money through the publishing process and prepare for it, right? Just like any other business decision, you need to prepare for that.
Right.
So I help them to see that. And I also help them to recognize, hey, here's an opportunity. You want to be a speaker, right? Okay. Well, what if you're going up against another speaker who doesn't have a book? And let's say that they want to pay, the event manager wants to pay a little less in speaking fees than you normally charge. Well, now maybe what you can do is use your book to offset the speaking fees and encourage them to buy one for every participant in the audience, so that now you don't have to sell your book or act like, oh, by the way, I'll be in the back of the room with my book if you want to come buy it. You don't have to do that because everybody's got one already, because the organization bought it for you in order to offset. They had educational budget, but they didn't have speaking budgets. And now you were able to use your book to leverage a greater fee and a greater return for that speaking engagement.
I love
so
it.
There are so many great ideas and opportunities like that I share with my clients for how they can create multiple streams of income with that book, and how that book is not just this isn't just oh, I can just make a few dollars with this.
Right.
That's not what it's about. I mean, if you think about my client, Susie Carter, right? Susie and her Power Your Profits book, she has made millions with her book, not from book sales, but from how she leveraged that book to grow her business. And so it is that you're looking for. You want to leverage yourself and leverage your ability to have a greater impact by using your book. Don't think of it as a $10.99 or a $14.95 item. Because that $14.95 can win you a $10,000 client.
Yes, yes.
So then when you look at it that way, you've made a lot of money on that book.
Well, and a lot of people who just want to be an author or just write, or they're creatives, and they just want to be creative in that creative space, and really don't want to be in that environment with a 9-to-5 or having a boss and all of that situation. But because they don't understand that piece and how to monetize or diversify, we talk about diversifying portfolios, right? Our financial portfolios in the way of investment, but we don't think about it within our lives, and diversifying our lives in the multiple streams of income. So I love how you talk about that, how you teach it. So in our closing moments, if you can just share some thoughts, some words of wisdom, just about the importance, or maybe even your personal experience and times where if you did not have all of these skill sets, or if you weren't doing, creating those diverse streams, what would your life be like now?
It is hard to imagine in today's day and age having a single source of income and nothing else. There was a time in, I don't know whose generation, where you could work with one company for 40 years, get your gold watch and
right.
Go retire, right? Well, that is not today. And we need to be open to the multiple streams of income so that we can leverage ourselves, so that we can enjoy ourselves, so that we can just be creative. So oftentimes when people say, oh, well, I'm just a writer, writers write for a reason. And so you write, but then you have to allow others to receive that writing. Don't hold it to yourself. Don't hold your journey.
Yes.
Share your writing with the world. And the way you do that is to get a return on that gift of sharing by allowing people to buy your book and creating avenues so that they can learn about your book and being able to hear you speak and share that message about that book. So even if you're a creative type, even if you don't see yourself as doing anything but, writing that one book, the reality is in order for it to be shared and to make a positive impact in the world, it needs to be released. You need to let it go. And in order to let it go, be open to receiving the benefit thereof.
Girl, and that was a powerful close. Be open to receiving the benefit thereof. I love it. Tanya, thank you for being our spotlight today.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been a joy.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely, sis. Absolutely. Audience, I want you to be sure to follow Tanya Brockett on social media. So Tanya, please tell them, what's the best way to connect with you?
Well, one way that might be the absolute best is to go to the following link. It is tanyaloves.me/connect. Tanya is Tanya. I'm an A. Spelled like Tanya, but pronounced like Tanya. loves.me/connect. I say that because there I offer this book, the new writer workbook, for free. And I also provide access to other resources that are useful, especially if you're new in the writing journey. So that's a great way to reach out to me. And then you'll find me on social media as well. I'm Tanya Brockett on Twitter. I'm Tanya Brockett on LinkedIn. So you can find me in other ways as well. But that Tanya Loves Me /connect is probably your best way.
Awesome. So tanyaloves.me/connect. All right, so we'll make sure that it's on our platform for the Define Your Path podcast. Folks, you'll be able to go back and read Tanya's bio, connect with her. You will not regret it. At least have a conversation. What is a conversation going to hurt you? And take advantage of free resources. How we don't take advantage of free resources to help us in our personal professional growth. So I want to encourage you all to start with Tanya Brockett and do just that. If you've ever thought about writing a book or, just anything about business. So she's a woman who can do it all. So folks, be sure to visit our virtual home to see what we're up to at definingpaths.online. I'd like to thank Business Innovators Radio Network and our producer, Mike Saunders, for their amazing support and assurance that we can continue to bring you these quality conversations, these life-giving conversations and inspiring conversations with amazing people as Tanya Brockett. So folks, I'm Doc V, the Pivot Maestro, and always your corner woman. Continue to define your path. Follow us, tell your friends about us, and be true to you. Define your path so that you may be your own boss in mind, body, soul, and business. And we'll see you on our next episode. Thanks again, Tanya.
All righty. Bye now.